I believe in growth and change, but I also am very aware of my vulnerabilities and my flaws and the realities of that. And I think that, growing up, you see your parents as like these figures. I just think it's just natural. You see them as these figures, and then as you get older, you see them as people. When you get to a point and you're like, my dad is just a guy, my mom is a woman, and you treat them with the respect and reverence that you treat your mom and father, but you're like, Dad, you got like shit on your mouth, or like, I don't agree with what you're saying. Like, I think you're tripping on what you're saying. Within the way of respect, you start to see them differently. I don't know how I got to that, but as a parent in real life, I know that I'm not perfect, and I tried. Being a parent is like, I don't know how people write books on parenting, because I think it's such bullshit. Because
how many kids do you have?
I have two. One's 18 and one's 16. But I think parenting is like a never-ending, unsolvable 17,000-piece jigsaw puzzle that keeps getting kicked over by a toddler, a dog, and then another toddler. I just think it's not a solvable thing. So we're like, 17 ways to be a great parent. Like, get the out of here. Like, these are just ways to sort of rest your head after, a long day of failing as a parent, or where your kid is screaming and yelling, or, when you have a child and you have, they have, what is this thing my son had when he was a baby, the crying, insufferable, nonstop crying when they're like,
teething or something?
Not teething.
Colicking?
Colic.
Yeah.
Which is basically, any pediatrician will tell you, it's just crying for no reason, and there's no way to solve it. The best
It goes on for like a month, right?
Hours a day. I mean, I'll be exhausted after talking so much just doing this interview. But if you sat here and cried and had a fit conniption on the floor for 4 or 5 hours, that's exhausting. But like infants, 3, 4, 5 months old, could sit there cry like that for hours upon hours and no nap, no nothing. It's an impressive physical showing. Just you're like, God damn, this is marathon, so
when your kids were crying, that there was a part of you thinking like, I got an endurance runner here. This is amazing.
I want the receipt, and I want to return this kid. Like the same way I would return CDs to the Old Tower Records right here. Like, I want to bring this back and be like, yo, this one is scratched. Give me another one, because I don't know what the is going on here. And you're going to all the drugstores and the homeopathic and your doctor. Try this, try that. I don't even remember, it was so long ago, but it was just like none of that worked. And they're like, well, how do you make it stop? And they're like, finally I remember dying. Like, there's just no way to make it stop. So then why do you have a name for it? Why don't you just say unconsolable, incontrollable crying?
Colicking, yeah, what is that?
What does that mean? Nothing.
Or something?
Well,
yeah. Did you find that your kids got less or more understandable as they got older? Because I was told that when I was a kid, when I was a baby, I didn't have tantrums, I didn't cry, I was totally fine. But then when I became a teenager, I was just a raging asshole, and they couldn't handle my at all.
I'd say yet to be determined. Yet to be determined. They're two teenage boys, so yet to be determined. When they're out of their when they're officially grown-ups, I'll give it a full recap assessment, because it's like the stock market. It's up, it's down, it's up, it's settled. You don't never know. So I'm not sure.
You never know how big the dip is until you're out of the dip, and then you think, oh, that was tough.
Exactly, because some dips could seem like dips, and then you get a real dip. You get like the ceiling. I mean, the floor just drops, and then you're like, oh, well, 3 months ago was nothing. Like getting suspended for 2 weeks. Oh, that was great compared to where we're at now. So, but they're good boys, and one of them, started school and college and whatever.
Oh, amazing!
So yeah.
Congratulations. He's 18. He just started, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
What was it? Did you have the moment of seeing him off to school, or?
No, I was looking forward to that.
Oh, really?
I don't, with boys and the fact that my son started school here in New York, and I spent a good amount of time here and a good amount of time in Los Angeles, but he was comfortable here. There was a familiarity, so it wasn't like I dropped him off in Turkey or Spain and like, you're going to be okay. Like, it just seemed like he was ready. And, the fact that it's New York and that he has a comfort level in New York, I didn't feel as jittery as I may, like if my other son goes to an unfamiliar place. I think the lack of familiarity, how do you say it? Familiarity will add or to that. But they're boys also. If I had a girl, I think it would be a little different. It would be, I'd be a little bit more concerned.
Do you find that lessons that you learned while parenting play into your performance?
Is that like that could be taken as like if it was a girl you'd be a little bit more concerned, and like you're with all the the women's rights stuff, like why would you be more concerned about your girl and not your boy? I'm just catching like what Twitter could say, because they could spin every thing.
That's ridiculous.
Right.
That's like
said if he had girls, he'd be worried, but he's not worried about his son. Why would you be worried about your girls, or girls not as strong? I'm just like, my head thinks in only social media terms, like how you could get.
You got to get out of there, man.
You walk yourself into walls every time you say something. Like, what are they going to say? That they being the 17 people on Twitter that comment about anything and everything. Anyway,
they're just looking for things to post out, right?
Yeah, I know. And I just gave, what do you call post?
Post.
Yeah, I just gave post. I just said that I would be less concerned. I'm less concerned about my sons. If I had girls, maybe I'm implying. This is how it could be taken. Maybe I'm implying they're weaker, they're not as good thinkers on their feet, and that's not the case. I'm just saying, as a parent,
serving up the ammunition for them.
Yeah, now it's like all out of context. Like, he didn't just say it; he went back and double backed on it. He confirmed it. Anyway, go ahead.
Sure, what to make of what he said, but then he went back and told us exactly what to think, and now we're posting.
That he was totally, if he had daughters, he'd be totally freaked out because they're totally unable to find their way around New York. Anyway, go ahead.
Have you found that you use the lessons that you learned as a parent in your performance, or sometimes you use the lessons that you learn in the show as a parent in real life?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely. I don't want to say necessarily the lessons. It's the emotions of being a parent. It's not necessarily the lessons. Like for me, acting, and particularly this character, he's such an emotional character. So it's really sort of finding the emotions that I can relate to, and if it's not literal, sort of transferring them. So it could be something. With acting, it's like, for me, the way I sort of get around a scene, and then I get around a sort of attaching and understanding a scene, is drama. Because drama and comedy are different, how I approach it in terms of the emotion of it. Because comedy's not really an emotional thing. Comedy's like comedy to me. It's different. It's more like from your, I don't know, it's not as, I don't know, it's just not as emotional. But this character being so emotional, having a father that I still do have a strong relationship to, being a parent, and then, whatever's going on with the kids, I in the show, I try to find something that I could grab onto and that like sort of anchors me in the scene.